Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready Speaker. This is Roland DeRucci without a hat this time, so you get to see what my melon looks like with a little bit of shine on it. Gotta get makeup, I guess. That's the next step, getting makeup. All right, so today's podcast is about the new show that is The Last of Us TV series. It's based on a video game. I know a lot of people are talking about it, how true it is to the video game, how true it is to the characters, the development, the arch. I don't know. I never played the video game, but I did watch 2 episodes of this, the first 2 episodes, and I kind of enjoyed it. I'll tell you, it's not a theme that's really original. It's just a basic story. There's a little bit of twist on it. There are zombies. I don't think they call them zombies in here. Definitely zombies. And what they are is actually caused by a fungi element. And I think that this happens with ants. There's a certain fungus that goes into ants, and they actually state this in the first episode, that takes over the body of the ant. I think I've read about this a few times. And they takes over the body of the ant and becomes a zombie for that fungus to do its bidding. So they're thinking in the storyline that's what's happening to people. There's a fungus takes them over, and then they do the bidding of this fungi. Or fungi that goes in like a mushroom, sort of like a weird thin mushroom. You've probably seen them, and that's the idea of it. The lead character is Pedro Pascal, and he's the number one guy in this. Pretty much, he's the badass. He's the badass sort of I don't know, Tom Cruise sort of guy who makes things happen. And they find one girl in it who has gotten bitten and has no reaction to the fungus, which is kind of interesting. So that's actually really, it's not that interesting. Let's be honest. It's a scene where was it World War Z has that, where they find a person that they're trying to get an antidote for it. Z Nation. Also, one zombie that seems to be human and immune, even though turning into a zombie physically, mentally, still cognizant of what they are as human. So it's not. And I think there's another thing with Clive Owen too, where it's the last girl who. Not zombies, but she's the only girl who can actually have a baby. No women can't have babies anymore, and he must travel with her and protect her so they can find out what's going on. So that's where this story is. And it's Bella Ramsey is the person who plays Ellie Williams, and she does a decent job in it. I know there's a lot of talk about why they picked her, why they picked anybody for this, and that's just online troll people just being upset about casting. I think the story actually works. I like the way what do I say? I don't know what that beeping is from somewhere, but I like the way that it's shot. If you want, I just muted my speakers. Sorry. So I like the way it was shot. It's shot it's a mix of video game elements, big wide world, lots of like dusty yellow colors. And you can see movement happening constantly. So there's a lot of distance there, a lot of I guess depth of field. So a lot of things are happening in the story to move it around, and you sort of like they're building this world. That's the apocalypse. There's very few people left, and they're going to a military state, which it sort of plays to where we have a fear of the world going right now to a bunch of military states. And the military make everybody, they're slaves. They're slave labor. They're taking care of bodies. They're doing cleanup, doing everything because you got a gun, you're the boss. Which I heard a police officer actually that I knew was like, hey, if the apocalypse comes, I'm not saving anything. I'm just going to take it because I got all the guns. So that sort of mentality applies to this world. And so it's kind of interesting where it goes. Like I said, I get good tempo. First episode I enjoyed. Spoiler alert, first episode, Pedro Pascal has a daughter that there's a lot of stuff happening to her, and then she is no longer in the series. So spoiler alert, but that's just where it is. She's in there for one episode, and then Bella Ramsey or Ellie Williams sort of becomes the daughter of Pedro Pascal's, and that's Joel Miller, his character. And they start moving around. They start breaking through places, finding paths. And like I said, it's kind of interesting. The rhythm's good. The lighting's good. I think Pedro Pascal he seems to be the go-to guy for this kind of world. The Mandalorian, a bunch of other things, where he has that physicality. I think that works. He has definitely a good look. He has good lines on his face. The camera really likes him. Even Bella Ramsey, she's sort of like playing this. I mean, she's over the top, I think, with the pain in the ass. I don't know how I would be in the pandemic. I don't know how I'd be with the world ending, or I have no more parents. I don't know if I'd be pissy all the time. I kind of be scared. I kind of look for people to trust. That's the only thing I guess in movies that's a little bit too much, but I think that's the only thing that I think people really aren't focusing on, that she's sort of like finding her way. Maybe that's a defense mechanism to keep the people at bay, so when they die, she doesn't really feel anything for them. So, and that's part of this world where people are dying constantly, and they're zombies and they're dead. They're not. There is no really flipping back. It's if they can. I guess they're trying to figure out some sort of immunity that she has to have it go through the people, so that fungus can't take them over. So either. I don't know. I don't know what it would do, because actually the first episode they say that there's no vaccine for fungus. So why she is now not impacted by it, by the bite mark, is I guess the real big question. So that's a bigger world build, bigger world view. There's a couple other people. Gabriel Luna, who plays Tommy Miller. I think that's Pedro Pascal's or Joel's brother. We have a couple of people here. I mean, there's a lot. Actually, there's a lot of people, and it's a big cast. It's moving around. You have John Hannah, which is Dr. Neumann. He plays a doctor, which I was surprised to see him in this, but it was good to see him. And there's a lot of people playing for these characters. It's definitely a mixed population. I don't think I really noticed delineation between ethnic groups or races. So you have some of the brown people, and they seem to be maybe more of the workers, and the cops are just a little bit more white. So again, I don't know if that's subtle or intended, but it definitely plays along. The rhythm is good. Episode 2, I like. They sort of got out of that world. They developed what was happening. It was a little slow in episode 1, but they're just building characters. They're just building storyline. It's from a video game, very much there, so they have to build to get to a good place. And I think that's where it's sort of getting me. It's getting me. It's pulling me into that world. I think it's a good series, good pacing, good acting, good casting. I would say. I mean, I'm not sounding that excited about it, but I kind of, I think it's a good show. I don't know if it's the best, but I think it's a good show. I know I say that a lot. Like I never know it's the best, because I never do. You never know how a story will go. You look at first seasons of Seinfeld, even Sopranos were a little rough, and that became one of the most. Those are two of the most popular shows in TV history. And you have Friends, and the first season is kind of rough. It's forced. So until it gets its footing, you never really know how a show lands. But I think this show is ahead of the game a little bit, and it's got a good path going to it. I'm curious about where they're taking the monsters. Again, I didn't play the video game, so I'm curious about where they're going with this fungus, where they're going with this mushroom type creature, organism that is bonding with the human body and changing it in a certain way. So I think there's one point is a wide shot of them laid out and tired and hungry, and they're sort of avoiding the sun as the clouds move over, and there's gaps in the clouds. They're hiding from the sun and rolling back to the shadow. So there's little things in it. The only peeve I have, I guess, in the apocalyptic world, people will probably be a lot thinner. They're kind of still stocky for not having enough food, not growing food. In the apocalypse, everything breaks down. So water breaks down, electricity breaks down, everything breaks down. You might have generators, but then who's making gas? Who's making sure gas is clean? Gas goes bad. So that actually is one of my peeves. So I think the world, if there wasn't an apocalypse, there'd be a lot of bicycles. Probably horses again, and beasts of burden, but almost definitely bicycles. And even that, they would probably have to do metal wheels. You couldn't even do rubber wheels even. So even bicycles might be, or wood wheels. I think even bicycles might be out of play, because once you get a pop tire, you're done. There are no more tires. There's no more anything. So they sort of show that in this, where there is no more anything. I think it's supposed to be like a while later from the first impact when this happens, and then to the, where they're in their present. I think it's just sort of been a little bit more distress. They're not just the cities, but the people. Should be a little disheveled. Shouldn't have nice haircuts. Well, water's not there. Maybe there's a whole different thing about viewing. So I think maybe they can build on that. But that's just me talking. Otherwise, solid show. Doesn't really put you off. Good acting. Really good cinematography. Nice, interesting palette of color. So I'm actually enjoying that. I don't think it's over the top. I think it's clean. There's enough contrast, and there's good things. So that's my episode. Give it a watch. Don't get too excited about it, but definitely give it a watch. Have a glass of wine, have a beer. Be happy that our world is not at that place. And I don't know. And hopefully, if it does happen, hopefully we look as good as Mr. Joel Miller there. I think that'd be Pedro Pascal looks pretty good in it. I'm not saying that in a weird way. I'm just saying he actually looks pretty good. So thanks again. This is Roland LaRucci with the Ready Speaker, and I leave this with a note every time. I had a rough 2022. be happy when you go to sleep because you live the day. Be happy when you wake up because you can start a day. So that's my thing. So all the best. Bye.